Hello everyone and welcome back to the Harkleroad-Adams channel on YouTube. My name is Drew Hare. We have our analyst Matt Harkleroad and Chris Adams. We are doing a Super Bowl 54 preview today, but before we jump into that, guys, let's kind of recap. We haven't really gotten a chance to talk about either the AFC or NFC championship games. So we'll start with the NFC one because I don't think there's too much to talk about. You know, we talked right before we started taping. We had to remember that, San Francisco was up 27-0 at the half and never really looked back. But Chris, I know you kind of went the other way with what you were hoping for with predicting a big Rodgers game, and that really
that prediction did not age well. Hats off to the Niners, and I should have seen this coming all the way. I mean, the way they dominated Minnesota the week before, and how they dominated the Packers earlier in the year, they're hitting on all cylinders right now. And they imposed their will. I'm throwing a bunch of cliches at you right there, but they really did.
Yeah, I think anytime you run the ball as well as they were running the ball, as consistently as Raheem Mostert was just breaking through and getting deep on those runs, he scored 4 touchdowns in that game.
Garoppolo had, 8 completions all game?
Yeah,
total passes.
8 total passes.
I mean, they took a page out of the Titans playbook and said, well, if you don't need to throw the ball, don't. That's pretty much.
It was almost like a service academy. Anything.
Yeah. If there's no need to throw the ball, then don't throw the ball. Right. It's simple, right? And they didn't need to, and their defense shut. Aaron Rodgers never looked comfortable until the second half a little bit when they stopped really bringing the pressure. They were in the backfield constantly, and they were making him run for his life, if not getting him sacked on every set of downs, it felt like. So they just didn't have an option. I mean, a couple of decent runs by Aaron Jones in the first half, and then really nothing else. Devontae Adams was a no-show in the beginning half of the game.
Yeah.
Really, if you drew up a playbook of how you beat the Packers, they did everything.
Yeah, and especially when the Packers, we've been talking that the Packers essentially had Devontae Adams, whatever you get from the running backs, and who else is going to do that?
Right.
And if nobody else does it, it was pretty much a repeat of their first matchup.
Yeah, and when that defense wasn't good against the run all season, and they found a team that likes to run the ball, and were running it the best I've seen them run it maybe all year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and most of it was just
unbelievable. The guy is going to get paid.
Yes, I think so too. Switching over to the AFC Championship game, that one was a little closer, a little bit more of a toss-up, at least for the first half, and then you started really seeing the wheels in motion.
Yeah, Tennessee came out great. They got up to that 10-0 lead. Vrabel was going all out, calling out the tackle eligible pass.
Yep. Awesome.
Henry was running well. They came to play. They showed up. Tennessee was not afraid.
No, they were not.
And then I remember actually, Drew, I was watching the game with you the first half, right? That right before the halftime, when there was about 3 minutes on the clock, Kansas City had just scored. Tennessee had the ball, and they were up what?
10-7.
10-7 at that point. And I remember I said to you, Tennessee has got to drive the entire way, use up this clock, and get some points. 3 or 7, they got to do something. They didn't get 7 points. They didn't get 3 points. They didn't stop them. They didn't hold them to a field goal. They let Patrick Mahomes scamper for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs had the ball coming to start the second half, and that was the ball game right there. It was
pretty much.
Yeah, it just feels like this Kansas City offense feels like a snowball. At the beginning of the game, it seems like they're having trouble getting going, but once they get going, there's nothing you can do to stop them or slow them down. They are just doing everything they want. When Mahomes is clicking, and it seems like it feels like one of those, like a running back almost, that, in the first quarter, they have a little trouble finding holes, and then as they keep going, they just wear the other team down, and that's what this Kansas City offense as a whole is doing right now. The 2 games in a row looks like they're with their backs against the wall, and they end up blowing the team out.
Yeah, because I was going to say, while you're talking about that Houston game is a perfect example of just like that inertia, just like that ball moving downhill, and they just were not to be stopped after that.
Yeah, you see that those 2 drives to end the first half, the first one, a third, pretty much broke the will of Tennessee. Yeah. Tennessee wasn't built to come back down 2 scores, and that's where they found themselves, which in 5 minutes of game span, 5 minutes game time, they were up by 10. And that is just, anybody who's played any kind of sport, that kind of a momentum switch just kills you, especially when it goes completely against the game plan your team can do. Yeah.
I mean, Tennessee did everything right for the first 27 minutes of the game, and then 5 minutes and it was over.
Yeah, and again, to me, it feels less almost. I mean, like, yes, they came in with a good game plan. They were playing good defense, but it almost feels more like Mahomes just has to click into gear, and once he does, then it makes almost the rest of it irrelevant. Like he can find guys, he can make throws that nobody's making right now. I mean, some of the throws early in that game, I was like, okay, Mahomes isn't hitting his target like receivers. And then he just goes into that thing where he is hitting guys before they make breaks, before in their hands, like unbelievable pinpoint accuracy he seems to have right now. But only it takes him a little while to get going. Like he's got to have a chip to play that way or something. It's really interesting.
Well, and he's got that scramble ability. I mean, we talked about that touchdown. I mean, which they felt like almost like a Bo Jackson-ish, like
It was also a lesson in poor tackling too.
That's
I'm not letting
true,
Tennessee off the hook.
No, absolutely, I feel. But yeah, just the fact that he can do that.
Just another thing. Yeah, right. I mean, geez, God, what a weapon.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and just shift gears and let's just talk about the game. I mean, what are your initial impressions? We were talking earlier today, as we were trying to get things together and just like, what are your predictions about who you think is going to win? And I have a feeling that we can start talking now, and you can talk yourselves in or out of either of these teams. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, I've gone back and forth. I mean, we're now 10 days out from the previous week's games, and I still have no idea. Honestly, you could put a number of things on a board and throw a dart at them, and I could see any of those outcomes being a realistic one. Could Kansas City come out in the first quarter like gangbusters and blow this team out by 40? Yes. Could the San Francisco defense show up so much in the first half that they get up by multiple touchdowns and make it impossible for Mahomes to get back? Yes, it's all possible. And is it possible these two teams could find a stalemate because they have decent enough defenses where this ends up being a low-scoring affair? It's possible. Like, there's so many different ways this game could hash out. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Chris can talk to this, but do you remember going into a Super Bowl where you felt less confident of what could possibly happen? Like,
That's a good
whether or not you're like, oh, I think this team's going to win or this team's going to win, but, like, literally, I could see a 45 to 40 score just as easily as I could see a 21-16, drag them out game that comes down to the last play. Like, both of those options look possible. Yeah. Also, I could see a 60 to 7 game. Like, almost all those things seem possible.
Yeah, I don't know if I see like a 60 to 7 game or like a 30 to nothing. I think both of the offenses are too good to get totally shut out. I would be shocked if both teams are not in double digits.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, it could be 31 to 30. It could be 40 to 35. It could be 21-14. It could be 17-13. There are a lot of options within that.
Yeah. How are you feeling that we know that the Chiefs' defense has been playing a lot better as of late. How do you think? Do you see them slowing down this Niners run game?
Maybe. Yeah. So this is. I mean, I guess let me take a step back. So this Super Bowl is kind of proof of something that we've been harping on a lot on this channel this year. Is that we've been pretty critical of the copycat nature that dominates NFL thinking these days and the groupthink. And we've been arguing that there are many different ways you can build a winning team in the NFL, and this Super Bowl is a perfect example of that. You've got the high-flying pass first, second, and third offense going on in Kansas City with a quarterback who is schooled in the air raid offense in college, and a coach who's always been pass happy even before it was cool to be pass happy. And then on the other side, you've got a team that uses a fullback, and had a running back score 4 touchdowns and go for 200 yards last week, and while throwing the ball 8 times. But they've got a quarterback who is capable, who had a game this year where he threw 5 touchdown passes. Right. So you can do it both ways. There's lots of flexibility going on in this game. On the surface, right? You say, okay, you got Kansas City's offense versus San Francisco's defense. Although, if you look at the stats from the season, San Francisco actually rated higher on offense in terms of points per game and yards per game. Now, Kansas City played without Mahomes for a chunk of the season, so I think that's not the case. But, I mean, you look at these two teams, it's the offense versus the defense, so I think it's going to come down to who's better between San Francisco's offense or Kansas City's defense.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about how Kansas City's defense has been looking better in the last couple of weeks, but think about who they played in the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. They played a Tennessee Titans offense, which, while good towards the end of the year, doesn't have a lot of weapons besides Derrick Henry, right? Mm-hmm. And failed to link up with A.J. Brown a lot in that game where they played. You look at the Texans, again, another team that doesn't have a ton of weapons, not a great running game. This is going to be the most balanced offense that they've played in this set. Probably, right up there. The Titans' run game is really good, and the San Francisco run game is really good. But I think what's interesting about the San Francisco run game versus the Titans' run game is that these guys can do it a number of different ways. It's not just give Derrick Henry the ball, give him a big hole because their offensive line's good, and punch it. They're running out of all kinds of formations with all kinds of different ways to get ball. So it'll be interesting to see if the defense of Kansas City can slide in the protection the run protection they have to be able to get these guys down on the outside edges, because they're going to see a lot more of that than they did against Tennessee, and for sure against the Texans, because again, that's not really a threat. So do I think they can slow this San Francisco team down, in your original question? Yes, they can. Do I think they will? I don't think they will. But their best hope is to, force a couple of long third down plays where Garoppolo has to make a play. I think they can do that. But again, honestly, anything can happen. Either of these teams, they're both well coached. They can come with a game plan that just blows the socks off the other team. Both those things are possible. We'll see what the lateral quickness of this team is, not stopping running backs coming downhill at them. And I think that'll be the difference, because Mostert can make his money anywhere on that field.
Yeah.
Matt, thank you for actually answering Drew's question about Kansas City's defense, as opposed to me, who just went on a tangent.
That's all right.
Took it in a completely different. That's right.
I wasn't gonna say it.
As a good host, I certainly wasn't going to say that. Keep it rolling, guys. Keep it rolling, guys. Yeah, I think it's going to be the Niners. If the Niners have to pass, I think they can.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, it's just
not a lot of weapon. I mean, Kittle's
a big weapon.
And that's the crazy thing too.
Yeah.
Just thinking about
and Emmanuel Sanders has been great since he's been.
And Debo's obviously stepped up.
Yeah.
All right, but the thing that's kind of scary when you look at that offense is, all right, if you got a good running game that can spread the ball out, like they can run any of the gaps, they can run anywhere on that field. That takes the best players you have on the field away from guarding the tight end if he lines up inside, and that's their number one. No, it's not a mystery as to why Kittle has been this research that had this huge blossoming in his career. It's because they're running the ball all over the place. You got to bring your linebackers up to block those and try to tackle those guys on the outside, which lets Kittle get covered by a safety or a nickel corner, which there's.
We saw how well that worked against Houston. Yeah.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they are built really well for the run offense that they have. And then you flip the other side. Can San Francisco stop Mahomes? I think they can get pressure on him, and I think Richard Sherman can disrupt. But ultimately, if Mahomes is accurate, and he can be unbelievably accurate, it's going to be hard. They got so many weapons. I mean, they just have weapons everywhere to throw that ball to, and they do it in different ways.
Yeah, I think this game we were saying earlier, we could see this game going a lot of different ways. I think the type of game, how it ends up playing, will impact what happens. And so what I mean by that is, if it ends up being a back and forth game, then I'm going to like the Chiefs and Mahomes, right? If he's the last guy with the ball in his hand in a one-score game, regardless of how good San Francisco's defense is playing, I'm going to bet on him. Yeah. Now, if San Francisco can get out to a lead early, it's essentially they're going to probably employ the same game plan that the Titans did. Slow the ball down. If San Francisco gets the ball to start the game, marches down on a 7-minute drive and punches it in, that's a great start, right? And here's the thing. Say it's the same situation as last week. They're up 10-7 with 3 minutes left and has the ball. San Francisco's not going 3 and out and punting. Right. They're better than the Titans. They're marching down and getting at least 3 there. So if it's that kind of game, then I like the Niners. If it's if Kansas City just comes out and blitzes on offense from the beginning and just Mahomes is on fire and gets out to a big league, I don't know about the Niners' ability to come back if they get down.
Yeah,
So it's
I think you were mentioned the Titans' game plan and what might be different than San Francisco. I don't think San Francisco's afraid of this team scoring points, because this team can score points. San Francisco can score points. I don't think they want to come out and run 7 minutes off the clock on their first drive. If I'm them, I come out in the first couple of plays and show them that I can open up this field in any way I want. I can take you over the top, I can take you inside, I want you on your heels. What I don't want you guys doing is lining up and knowing that I'm going to be running the ball. And so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I can see it going either way, but to me, the game plan for Kyle Shanahan is to come out hard and take it to these guys and say, our offense is legit and your defense isn't, and I'm going to take it to you. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I think the game plan, they obviously employed the run game plan last week. But again, the defenses are a little different. Everybody knew the Packers' run defense was suspect. So it'll be interesting.
And Kansas City's going to have the same mindset too. Both of these teams have just such aggressive, they're steadfast in their ways. And Kansas City's just going to come out and say, your defense is not as good as you're not going to stop us. Right. And so now,
except San Francisco's defense is pretty damn good.
They're good, but in their mindset, I mean, what Kansas City is able to do at multi-levels.
Well, and the fact that you can take Mahomes out of the pocket kind of takes, Bosa out of the game plan a little bit. You can kind of mitigate him by making sure you run your bootlegs the other direction, right? I mean, he's still going to get you into pressure. You're going to have less time to throw that ball. Mahomes doesn't seem to have a problem with that. So it'll be interesting to see that chess match is going to be real fun, I think. Especially on that side of the ball, is to see, because I mean, Bosa, half the time he's not even in on first down. Like they want him to be a known pass play rusher. Like that's what they want. And if you can throw on first, throw on second, throw on third, he can't play that much. He can't play every snap, and it's going to be interesting how that all shakes out. So I think this is going to be a really fun Super Bowl.
Well, who's going to win that chess match?
Oh man, I think I've talked myself. You were right. I think I talked myself into taking San Francisco. Okay. I mean, I think Mahomes. Mahomes could just take this game over if he wants. He's one of the few quarterbacks in this league that could legitimately come out and just blow everybody's doors off. And he's got enough weaponry to do that. But again, I just think San Francisco's offense is really good, and they can beat you in a ton of different ways. And on a who do I want to win? I'll be cheering probably for Kansas City, just so Andy Reid can finally get his trophy. If there's a coach out there that deserves to win his championship, it's Andy Reid, one of the class acts of the game, and a guy that's been so close and had so many good teams. So I mean, but again, I think I've talked myself into San Francisco.
How about you?
Yeah, this is a really tough one. I've been going back and forth. Generally, my rule in close games is to go with whoever has the better quarterback. So by that logic, it would say Kansas City. But getting on what I was saying before, if you look at like Kansas City's offense and San Francisco's defense as being polar opposites of each other and great, again looking at that, who's better between San Francisco's offense and Kansas City's defense, and I think it's San Francisco's offense.
I agree.
I mean, Garoppolo is certainly not on the level of Mahomes.
No.
But but if you're asking me, do you think Jimmy Garoppolo is good enough with this team to win a Super Bowl? And I think the answer is yes. He's plenty good. So I think if they need Jimmy to make some plays, he can. This game could even come down to special teams or something like that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I was just talking about this earlier with someone else, my 8-year-old son. That's the other. That's someone else. Won't it be fascinating if they really try to get Tyreek Hill involved in the return game a little more than they do, because there's obviously no one faster on the field than him. It'll be really interesting to see if they try to do that a little bit. I guess that'll tell you how scared they are going into this game. If he's taking that first kickoff, they're either trying to make a statement or they're real worried about what's coming up. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes.
So my prediction is going to be San Francisco in a relatively close one.
Okay. I'm going to take the Chiefs. I had Chiefs over Rams to start the year. I think just what Mahomes is able to do, I think he's just going to just offset everything that San Francisco can do on defense. For me, I don't know why I feel like this is going to be a good Sammy Watkins game. How many times have we been burned? How many times have you tried to say that? But
At least no one's playing fantasy this time of year.
I know. All the focus is going to be on Kelsey. All the focus is going to be on Hill, and I just have a feeling we're going to get a big Sammy Watkins game. I don't know why I feel that way. I just do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you take weapon away 1 way, you take weapon 2 away, you take weapon 3 away. Weapon 4, sometimes it's hard to take that many weapons away, and a guy like Watkins can be an effective number 4 weapon, which is crazy to think that guy is that now.
I'm excited to be wrong come Sunday about 10 o'clock. So we're going to shift gears now. We have predictions. Let's talk Super Bowl prop bets. I have a list of prop bets.
Oh boy.
These two have not seen it yet. I went out to sportsline.com today, and I found 6 prop bets. I wanted to get their opinions on. We're going to try to keep these quick. We'll see what they said. All right, Super Bowl prop bet number 1. Over or under 26.5 for the jersey number of the first player to score a touchdown.
Ooh.
26.5.
26.5.
So unders, you're going to have the Mahomes, your Garoppolos,
that score the touchdown. I mean, they actually have to get in
across the goal line.
The one across the goal line.
Right. I'm going to go.
Emmanuel Sanders is under, but the other end, you're going to go both of the tight ends. Maybe even have like a
Raheem Mostert's over too, right?
Yeah. And I think Damian Williams is over as well.
Yeah, so that's
like 34, I believe. So
I'm going to say
I'm going under. I'm going to go under.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go under.
I'm going to go over on the strength of the tight ends.
Yeah, that's good. That's definitely good. I mean,
like
the 2 best tight ends in the game, maybe, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good call.
Yeah. So this is just a simple yes/no. Will the game be tied again after starting 0-0?
Ooh. I'm going to say yes. Yes, it will. That's a tough one. The odds are not in the favor of that, though. Yeah. I mean, there's so many options. I'm going to change it. I think it's going to be close. That's my way of saying I think it's going to be close. But I think the money's on a no there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so many different ways that it's going to be, that it can go. And there's tracking if teams maybe end up going for 2 at some point, or the extra points are no longer the gimme that they used to be. So yeah, I'm going to say no as well.
Okay. How many yards will the game's longest touchdown be? Over, under 44.5.
Over.
You think somebody's going to hit a bomb or just take it to the house? Like it may be a Debo end around or a Tyree 75 yards.
Most of it was free. How many of those touchdowns?
Yeah, right.
What's the
44.5.
I'm going to take the under, just to be different.
Okay. How many players will attempt a pass? Over or under 2.5?
Ooh. So that's basically saying...
Is anybody else besides Garoppolo or Mahomes?
So, I mean, does a team throw in a trick play? Or do you have an injury? Hopefully we don't have an injury, but maybe a guy gets knocked out for a play. I'm going to say the under. None of these teams have really employed the trick play as much.
I don't think anybody.
You don't really have any former quarterbacks now playing wide receiver, so I'm going to say no.
Yeah, there's no Taysom Hill. Yeah, there's no Taysom Hill. There's no OBJ or Jarvis Landry. I'm going to go with under. I'm going to go with 2.
I'm going to say over, and I'm going to say Kyle Juszczyk throws a pass.
Ooh, the fullback.
I'm out there, man. I don't know why.
It's that great. He's employing that Harvard.
Which team will score last, the Niners or the Chiefs?
I'm going to say the Niners. Getting back to my prediction, I think Mahomes leads the Chiefs down late in the fourth quarter to take the lead, but then I think the Niners drive down for a game-winning field goal.
So I'm going to go KC. I think now that I've run this through my processors in my brain, I think they'll be up with enough that they can allow a late touchdown to Mahomes, which will happen.
Okay. And the last one, who will be named Super Bowl MVP, Pat Mahomes or the field?
I'll go on field since I'm taking San Francisco.
Yeah, I have to go to the field as well.
I just wanted more I found that one and I was like, oh yeah, this takes us back to September when we were literally having this conversation.
Since we both taken the Niners though, do we want to take an MVP bet?
Ooh, all right. You're taking Kyle Juszczyk. We got that one. I mean, Raheem Mostert's probably the smart bet right now, but I like Kittle. I'm going to take Kittle.
I'm not, as much as it would be awesome if a fullback wins the MVP, I'm going to say Garoppolo. I think he leads them on that field goal field goal winning drive at the end, and I think he's got another touchdown pass or two.
Let's say any of you guys are going to go the defensive route. Nobody's going to be like no
Richard
Sherman
Sherman,
or
Bosa.
or anything like
It's so
that.
hard to pick an individual defensive player.
Yeah,
like,
just got to be in the right place
yeah.
at the right time.
Mhm.
That's a tough call. I mean, the only time I think in history you could have probably done that was the Von Miller game, right? At that point, he's
Yeah.
the only defensive MVP that you could have looked at the game ahead of time and been like, "That's the guy."
Yeah, unless it was like a coming out party for Bosa, even more. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
right.
probably end up being defensive rookie of the year, but whether he does anything else beyond that. As we finish up, we wanted to talk about Super Bowl memories. At least have you guys talk about some. But what kind of memories, Chris? What kind of memories pop up in your head?
Yeah, so the kind of the first Super Bowl that I actually remember intently watching was that Bills Giants game. I think it was Super Bowl 25, maybe the Scott Norwood missed kick. I mean, before that, like in the 80s, I watched a little bit. I knew the Browns. I mean, I watched the Browns lose all those AFC Championship games, and then I was glad that the Broncos then went on to lose the Super Bowl every year beyond that. But I didn't really watch those Super Bowl games intently. But that Niners Bills game was probably the first game I watched kind of from beginning to end. And I think did I say Niners Bills? I meant Giants Bills.
Yeah.
And I think I was rooting for the Giants back then. I don't really know why. I guess the red and blue uniforms were cool. Although they're both red and blue.
Against the Bills?
I don't know.
You just hated Jim Kelly.
So that was kind of my first full Super Bowl memory. And it was a great game too.
No.
Not for Bills fans, sorry.
So that was your first. Do you have another?
Sorry.
Or is that?
Why don't you go one?
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
Well, then I'm going to piggyback off yours.
Okay.
I'm going to say this is my memory, as in what I remember as a kid. When I was born in 1982, right? So the first couple of years, I don't remember anything. But then after that, there was that 12-year stretch of like NFC dominance.
Yeah.
And so I remember growing up that the Super Bowl really wasn't that interesting to me a lot because there were every year it felt like we would go out. I remember going out to a bar or something with my parents, and like where we're eating and watching the game, and it just being like by the end of the second quarter it was like over. It was one of the San Francisco ones. I don't remember which one off the top of my head, and I was doing something like, do I remember this correctly? Do I remember this stretch being as bad as it was? And I went back and I did the math. Over that 12-year period, the NFC won all 12 games, right? They won by a combined score of 510 to 219. So that is like complete dominance.
Yeah.
There was only 2 or 3 games in that whole thing that were within a touchdown. And so most of them were in like 50 to 7 or like in that range. And I just remember as a kid being like, okay, the NFC Championship game, that's the fun one. Like, there's all the entertainment, and then nothing. And then, sadly, when you look back at it, it's like, okay, it took some teams I didn't like the Denver Broncos, to come and kind of change that narrative and to make it fun again.
And the Patriots.
And the Patriots, then again after that. I mean, a couple years before the Patriots
Right.
started coming into that. But it's been... the Super Bowl's been so good lately.
Yeah, it really has.
And so my memory is that it's much better to be a Super Bowl or football fan in general right now than it was in the 80s.
That was a good point. Yeah.
Minus last year's Super Bowl, which put everybody to bed by about end of the second quarter. But I mean, we've been on
really the 90s as a whole was just NFC dominance.
Yeah.
Into the 80s too, but there were a couple. There was that San Francisco-Cincinnati game that Montana had the drive, and there were I think that was like 1990, the Bills-Giants game. That was a close one, but once after that, it was you had those Cowboys teams just dominating people.
Yeah, that Cowboys-Steelers one was close until the end when.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Yeah. So I went with my first win, our first Super Bowl I mentioned was kind of the first one I kind of grew up watching. Second one, I'm going to go pick one from when I was a little bit older. And there's really a couple I could go with this, but I'm going to go with that Saints Colts one in 2009. With the onside kick to start the second half, Sean Payton, and just watching the Drew Brees versus Peyton Manning. I mean, it wasn't the Saints won it. It wasn't a blowout, but it wasn't a close game like some of the more recent ones have. But I always liked those teams. as a Browns fan, I never had anyone to root for in the Super Bowl, but like for whatever reason, the Saints were always my second favorite team.
Black and gold is a good color.
The black and gold, yeah. I think again when I was 6 years old, I saw that. So like,
combination.
I rooted for the Saints when the Browns
Which
were.
is weird to say black and gold for the you Browns fans.
But no, the Saints is
not
legit
yellow.
black and gold.
I know, that's fine. That's fine.
And I like Breeze and Peyton Manning, so that was a good matchup. So I kind of like, okay, my second favorite team won the Super Bowl. Don't know when my favorite team will, but.
Oh, and that was the Prince halftime show, wasn't it, that year as well? The one down in Miami?
I think you're right, yeah.
I think it was. Yeah. Maybe that was the one with Bears, but yeah, Matt, how about you?
My other one is, I've always been interested in the way the NFL media portrays certain players and things. And I remember Super Bowl 39 was maybe my favorite storyline of an athlete that I thought, and I still think, it's way more crap than he ever deserved to get, which was the T.O. I mean, you remember they were in the guy's driveway, literally like hunting him down, watching him do sit-ups, and sure, some of that was his own doing, but the narrative was that here's this diva wide receiver who's a piece of garbage, only cares about himself. Guy breaks his leg on, I think it's like the middle of December, right? Comes back for the Super Bowl on February 2nd. That's 6 weeks later by my math, right? Comes back, plays a hell of a game, and like was giving it his all out there. And the narrative again, this guy only cares about himself. And like it was so much fun to watch a guy that was happening to, like, cause kind of like upend everything. And then again, the media just kind of forgot that even happened. Like it still went right back to the same T.O.'s a monster thing. And it's just like, okay. And I just remember I remember vividly rooting for the guy and like him just like I think he had 122 yards and 9 catches in a game with a broken leg, had surgery to fix the broken leg to make it heal faster, and then puts on a performance. And the only thing that stops him from winning a Super Bowl probably is the guy throwing the ball to him. So with his 3 picks and a fumble and everything else that went wrong in that game. I guess so. That was for those not paying attention or checking 39 off. That was Philadelphia Patriots. Patriots win the game in a close one.
I'm gonna throw one more, which is I don't know what the number is, but it was the 1999, or I guess it was in 2000, but the 99 season, the Rams Titans. Greatest show on turf. With the Kevin Dyson with the outstretched arm coming up just short, in a game that teams had pretty much said the Rams were supposed to kind of cruise in that, and they didn't. The Titans, fought them every step of the way. And to kind of what Matt said, we had this era of just crap Super Bowl games, the NFC dominating, and then like in the late 90s you had the Elway Broncos, but again they won both of their Super Bowls pretty handedly.
But at least it was the other side.
Yeah, but it was still blowout. And then you had in 99 you had this crazy game that comes down to the last play and comes up a half a yard short, and that really ushered in 20 years of, by and large, really good Super Bowls.
Right.
I mean, you look at the Patriots, their dominance and how well they've played, all of their wins and all of their losses have come down to the last play, or near the very end.
Right to the very end, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the interception on the goal line to win them a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The comeback to win a Super Bowl, to go to overtime, they win overtime Super Bowl game. The Philly special. I mean, you got so many good moments in Patriots games. Take David Tyree catch, the Manningham catch. Like you go through the list of those games that they were in, and 9 Super Bowls they've been in the last 22 years or whatever it is.
They could have been 9-0 or 0-9. They were also close. And then you had some other great ones. You had Drew. You had the Santonio Holmes catch with your Steelers over the Cardinals. You had the Von Miller and the Broncos just destroying the Seahawks. The Panthers. The Panthers. With Peyton Manning could barely keep his arm on, did just enough to put that defense over. Matt said you had the Philly special. You had the Falcons, that big New England comeback. So it's really been, after that stretch in like the 80s and 90s of really crap Super Bowls, the last 20 years have been some really entertaining games, and I hope we get another one on Sunday.
Let's hope the pendulum doesn't swing back.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a good game.
I think so too.
Especially from MVP Sammy Watkins. Guys, any final thoughts?
You're taking the field. You're taking the field.
Yeah. We're recording this on Tuesday, January 28th. So if there's a major injury or some other crazy things happen between now and Sunday that could influence the outcome of the game, our picks were made on Tuesday the 28th.
This is probably going to be my last show, too, because I said Super Bowl MVP, Sammy Watkins. So I'm not going to
That's not worse of a pick than my picks for the Super Bowl. You're all right.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and finish up. Thank you all once again for not even just watching today's video, but also just the entire season long. We've been really appreciative of your feedback and your comments. And now we have a Twitter profile. It is at Hark-Adams Sports. So you can follow us on Twitter. We'll follow you back. We're going to continue to do some videos and some other stuff during the off season. We still got to do some recaps of profile.
Yeah, we got the draft. Yeah. The NFL season is all year.
It never ends.
We know that.
Also, though, if you all want to see some different content, if you want to see some NBA videos, college sports videos, March Madness, Major League Baseball, let us know in the comments, and we can work that in. We're going to still do a lot of NFL content, but this channel is Harkleroad-Adams Sports, so we want to cover a wide range of topics.
We want to do the sports part, not just NFL.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right. So for Drew Hare, and my Twitter handle is at Mr. Andrew Hare. For Matt Harkleroad, what's your Twitter handle?
At Matt Hark.
And I'm at the C Adams, and again the Twitter handle for the channel is at Hark-Adams Sports.
Yep. All right. Thanks everyone. See you again soon.